In the last class, we saw two verses, that is verse number 19 and verse number 20. In verse number 19, Lord Krishna further describes Atma. He says people who think Atma is the killer or being killed is an ignorant person. Atma never kills, not being killed. So we saw this in a very brief thing in the last class. So a person who thinks that Atma is the killer, that is Atma kills someone or Atma will be killed, is an ignorant person. Why? Atma never kills nor being killed. Atma never kills anyone or Atma gets killed. So how do we understand this? Because now we will connect this with verse number 20 and then we will try to understand both these verses which we did in the last class. In verse number 20, Lord Krishna says, Atma has no death. It is not something that was there at one time and not on another time. Atma has no birth. It is eternal. It's old. Now look. Now, for action, it is only the Sthula Sarira that is responsible. Now, what are the things that we saw about Atma? Atma is Nirvikaraka. Atma doesn't undergo any modification. Atma is Satya, which is the only truth. How do we understand truth? That which is there without any change in all the time. When we say all the time, the three tenses we talk about, past, present and the future. It doesn't undergo any change. Anything undergoes changes is not the truth. So Atma is Satya, Atma is Nitya, which means Atma is always there. Nityaha. It has no death. It has no date of expiry. So when Atma is Nityaha, how can this Atma be killed? That which is killed means it is dead. So, but Atma is Nitya. It has no death. It is not expiring at any point of time. And in verse number 20, Lord Krishna also says that Atma is not something that was there at some point of time and then is not there on another point of time. So we say that Atma is anything that has got a period of beginning should also have a period of end. But what Lord Krishna says in verse number 20, it is not like that. It is not that Atma was there in some point of time and not on another point of time. Atma is Purana, which is old. When we say old, it doesn't relate to age. It talks about time period. What does it mean by time old? Related to the time period, Krishna says, one doesn't know. It is older than everything that is existing in this earth, which does not have any time bound, which is not bound by time. Atma is not bound by time. So it is old, which means Puradanaha. When we say Puradanaha in Sanskrit, what we say is that time immemorial. Atma is there from time immemorial, which means it is old, it is eternal, it is there everywhere. You can't say even a single space where the Atma is not there. It is there. It is within us. It is outside. It is within everything and it is in every space it is occupied. So it is eternal. So that which does not have a period time of origin is not also going to have a time of expiry or end. That which is present eternal, that which is there time immemorial. How can this? And what also we saw about Atma. Atma is Akarta and Abhokta. That is what Because if an action has to be performed, then it becomes a karta. The performer becomes a karta. But Atma is akarta. When you say Atma is akarta, then if a karta is there, then he also becomes the bhokta. What is a bhokta means? Bhokta means a person who experiences the results that is coming out of his action. That is called the bhokta. He is called the bhokta. But since Atma is akarta, it can never be the bhokta. So on the other way, Atma doesn't accumulate any papa punya. That is what he says in verse number 19. People who think that Atma is killer. When we say killer, it becomes karta. When you say it is getting killed, it becomes the bhokta. But what Lord Krishna says about Atma, it is akarta and abhokta. It is neither the doer nor the experiencer of the benefits or the results out of the action. So a person who thinks that this is Atma kills and Atma gets killed is an ignorant person. Ignorance of what? The jnanam, Atma jnanam. He is an ignorant person. He does not have that knowledge about Atma. Atma never kills anybody and Atma never get killed by anyone. So why does he say, Arjuna, if you think you are killing, please understand it is only the physical body that is going to get into all those things, either killing or getting killed. So in verse number 19, Lord Krishna establishes that Atma is akarta, thereby abhokta. So it doesn't do any action, thereby it doesn't experience the results out of the action. The mind does all the actions, thereby it has to experience the result out of it, the papa punya. The body is a karta, mind is a karta, so it accumulates papa punya, and to experience this papa punya, Atma, body has to take a physical rebirth. But whereas Atma, since being akarta and abhokta, it neither dies nor it is born again. So that is what Lord Krishna says about Atma in verse number 19 and verse number 20. So he says Atma is Saswata, free from decay. Lord Krishna says Atma is what? Saswata, that which is there all the time, which never gets decayed. Apakshaya Rahita, which means what? Does not grow old. Nirvikaraha, does not get into any modifications. So these are the descriptions or the explanation or the briefing about Atma that Lord Krishna has said. Now let us get into verse number 21. In verse number 21, what Lord Krishna says? One who has the knowledge of Atma. What knowledge about Atma? That Atma is indestructible, Atma is unborn, and Atma has no old age. Then, this person, whom he is going to kill, or who is going to kill him? That's what Lord Krishna says. A person who has got the knowledge about Atma, that is, Atma is indestructible, Atma is unborn, since it is unborn, and Atma has no old age or decay. A person who has got this knowledge also has the knowledge about whom am I going to kill, or who is that going to kill me. So the killing doesn't happen because I understand the knowledge. I understand this Atma. And what is this Atma? Atma is what I am. I am this Atma. Everything is the Atma, which means there is no difference between me and the other. So when we talk about I and you, we are talking about Dvaitam. Two things, I and you. But when I get the knowledge about Atma, which is what? The truth, which is what is present everywhere within oneself and outside. That is what it means. That there is no difference, because Atma is what? Everything. Then there is no difference. Then that person is with the knowledge of Advaitam. He doesn't see the duality in existence. When he doesn't see the duality in existence, then what does it mean? He is into. He thinks, now who am I going to kill? When I is not there, you is not there, who is going to kill whom? Neither I am going to kill you, nor you are going to kill me. So Arjuna, please understand this Atma Tattva. He says, we need to separate body, mind from Atma. What we are giving more importance today is for this body-mind complex. This Sthula Sariram and Sukshma Sariram. We are giving lot of importance, and that is why we are into great trouble. The sorrow comes from Dvaita, duality. Body-mind complex. When you start identifying yourself with this body-mind complex, then you become separate from the others. Whomsoever it might be, whatever it might be. So what we need to understand is Atma is something different and body-mind complex is something different. I am not this body-mind complex, I am this Atma Swarupena. Then if we realize that I is Atma only, then you are always at peace. You are always at peace. So, to explain this duality, to understand this duality, let me give you a very simple analogy. We all have heard about this iceberg. It's there in the polar region. But what is this iceberg? It looks as a two different entity, the sea, the ocean and the iceberg. And we say that is iceberg and this is ocean. But end of the day, it is the ocean water that has solidified and become the iceberg. Yes or no? So, in reality, there is nothing like iceberg as separate and the ocean water as separate. There is only a change in the form, but in reality, both are water. And similarly, it is only the form that we see in this Sthula Sarira, that is a physical body, but in reality, everything is this Atma, which is the pure consciousness. We are going to understand this consciousness a little bit more as we go into this Bhagavad Gita. So, the death is only for the body-mind complex. Only the body dies and the mind is removed from the body. It moves away from the body. But there is no death for Atma because it is Nirvikaraha. Since it doesn't undergo any modifications, it doesn't die. It is Nityaha. It is always there. It is Satyaha. So the Atma doesn't die. Aprameyaha, Sarvagadaga. So many words are there to describe Atma. So it all establishes only one fact. Atma is the truth. It is present across. As we see, do we have a limit for the space? We don't have any limit for the space. Similarly, Atma has no limit. Space is occupying everything and everything is occupied within the space. This is an important philosophy that we need to understand, a tattva that we need to understand. Space occupies everything and everything is within the space. As I told you in my earlier class, if you take a house is constructed in a space, which means The space has occupied the house, and the space is also within the house, which means what? The house is in the space and the space is also in the house. So space occupies everything and space is within everything. So because you have constructed a house, the space has never undergone any change. You have not destroyed the space. You have not modified the space. You have not shrunk the space. You have not limited the space. You have limited your area of operation. That's it. You have constructed a house of 1,000 square feet and you have limited your operation in a 1,000 square feet space. But you have not limited the space itself. You have not limited the space itself. Similarly, when I talk about my body-mind complex, like the house, I am limiting myself. I am limiting myself. I cannot limit the Atma. When I limit myself, then the duality comes. My house, his house. My space, your space. Now, another simple example I'll give you. We all have experienced this soap, bubbles. During our childhood, we used to play with the soap water, creating a lot of bubbles. And some used to create this size of a bubble. Some used to be able to create this big a bubble. So when I blow the air through that small tube, the soap water within that tube is slowly becoming a bubble. And it floats. Now you say, this bubble has got my air. Okay? Now this bubble has got my air because I blowed the air. But after some time, this bubble burst. Now, once it burst, all the other bubbles are also going to burst. Is there your air and my air there? No. It's all one air. It's only you limited yourself while blowing the bubble as your air. But when the bubble bursts, there is nothing like your air and my air. So all we need to understand is that when we identify ourselves with this body-mind complex, we are limiting ourselves. Once you start limiting yourself, you are going to restrict your area of operation. You are going to restrict your area of perception. You are going to restrict your area of knowledge. Then you are going to get into problem. The conflict comes because I want to operate within my space and I don't want anyone to enter my space. On the other hand, I want to expand my space into entering into the other space, which the other person who is operating within his space doesn't want you to enter into his space. And this is where, dear friends, the conflict comes. Now, what Lord Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna, through Arjuna to all of us, don't limit yourself with this body-mind complex. This is one day going to perish, which Lord Krishna is going to say very nicely in the next verse. One day it is going to perish. One day it is going to die. It is going to vanish from this universe. It is going to vanish from your sight. So Lord Krishna says, don't give importance to this body-mind complex. Understand that Atma is Satya. Identify yourself with Atma. When you identify yourself with Atma, everything, this entire universe is within you and you are in that universe. And this is what Lord Krishna tries to communicate through his Vishwarupa. Through Vishwarupa, what Lord Krishna says, that everything is within me and I am in that. Lord Krishna shows everything that is there in this universe in the Vishwarupa. And from where does he show all those things? From this universe only. So that Vishwarupa Darshanam has got a big concept, philosophy behind it. We need to understand what Lord Krishna tries to say through this Vishwarupa is the same thing, Atma Darshanam. He says, this is what Atma, dear Arjuna, everything is within you and you are in that, which means there is nothing like you and something else as separate. When this knowledge comes, you are at peace. You know that you are not destroying anything, nor something is going to destroy you. So that is what happens to a person who has got this knowledge about Atma. So he has got this this clarity about whom am I going to kill, or who is that going to kill me? Because Atma neither kills nor can be killed. I am the Atma, so I am not going to kill anyone, nor anyone is going to kill me. Now that's the point what Lord Krishna wants to drive in verse number 21, and he has given a nice build-up about Atma in all these verses. He explained what is this Atma as a Satya, Nitya, Aprameyaga, Sarvagataga, Nirvikaraga, Akarta, Abhokta. He said all those things to give a clear picture about Atma, and a person who gains this knowledge feels that he is a part of everything and everything is part of him. So neither he is going to destroy something nor something is going to destroy him. And that is what Lord Krishna wants to drive in verse number 21. And why did Lord Krishna say killing? Neither Atma is going to kill anyone nor getting killed, because it is a battlefield from where Lord Krishna is saying this Bhagavad Gita, and Arjuna has to fight the war, and Arjuna's dilemma is how can I kill all these people? So Krishna directly linked that to killing. But in our life, what is that we are killing? Yes, it is a battlefield happening within ourselves also. As I told you in the beginning, my introduction video, Bhagavad Gita is for everyone. There is a Kurukshetra happening within us. If you sit and listen to your self-talk, you know how much it is conflicting at every point of time. Conflicting within yourself, conflicting with others. So there is a Kurukshetra war always going on. That is why we are not at peace. We are always under tension. We are under stress. We are disturbed, sorrowness. Why? It all happens only when there is a war. When there is a war, can you be happy? No. So, what is it we are killing? We are killing ourselves with our wrong thoughts, wrong knowledge, with wrong beliefs, believing that this body-mind complex is what Satya. And then we see the modifications happening for my body-mind complex, and the modifications happening to the body-mind complexes of my kith and kin. I thought it will not change, but it is changing. Many times we make a statement, I never thought you will change all of a sudden like this. Yes or no? I never thought my son will change like this. He was a very obedient son when he was 3 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old. But he is not now listening to me. He is not obeying to me. I never expected him to change. So that becomes a shock. I never expected my wife to behave like this. I never expected myself to behave like this. I never expected my husband to behave like this. So what is his expectations is all based on one thing, that it will never change. What is that you thought it will never change? This body-mind complex. But what is the fact? they change. So there is a Kurukshetra war going within ourselves, in our family, with our body and our mind. Sometimes we are not able to physically fight with others, but let me tell you, dear friends, there are most of the times, when we are awake, we are mentally fighting a war with as many people and with as many things. So even though the physical war is restricted nowadays, but the mental war has grown up like anything. And our cause for stress is only because of this mental war. Why this mental war? What I thought, what I believed, what I expected will not change, has changed. When you are 35, 40 years old and you start seeing the grey hair, you are not comfortable now. You want to use all those dye and keep it black. But 50 years, 60 years, your face, the wrinkles are there in your face. The briskness has come down, but still you are dyeing your hair. What are you trying to cover up? What are you trying to stop from changing? You can't do anything, dear friends. When the old age happens, your hair is going to grey. The skin, the tone of the skin changes. Wrinkles forms. Your speed reduces. Can you stop these things? You may apply hair dye and maybe cover up that grey hair. But can you stop the greying of the hair? No. Again, after some time, the grey hair comes and again you have to go for this. So that is where I am fighting a war with my hair. I am fighting a war with my hair, which is grey, and I don't want to grey the hair to grey, so I want it to be black all the time. Now I use an external, material to keep that black, but the reality is that it's greying. After some time, again I have to. I'm giving you a very simple example with the hair. How much we are trying to control the change, not understanding they are subject to change. They will change. And there is a war going on between me and my hair. So when Lord Krishna says, Atma neither kills anyone nor gets killed, the killing factor absolutely applies to ourselves in verbatim. Because we are fighting, we are trying to kill the changes that are going to happen. So Krishna says, move away from the identity of the body-mind complex and identify yourself with Atma, and then you are at peace. And he wants to give one more wonderful example, connection between what is happening in our day-to-day life and what Atma does and what happens to our body-mind complex. In verse number 22, Lord Krishna says, like a person throws away the worn out clothes and goes for a new one, Atma sheds the worn out body and gets into a new body. He says, as simple as this, Arjuna. When your old clothes gets worn out, you go for a new one, Arjuna. And I have seen you doing this many times, Arjuna. Similarly, Atma also, when this body wears off, it is going to go shed this body and goes for a newer one. Understand, this is what life is. This is what happens. So like we keep changing our clothes, there are two reasons, for changing the clothes. Let us understand here. It's very, very important. One is when the cloth wears off. When the cloth is worn out, you go for a newer one. But let us understand a fact here. When you go for the newer one, it is not that after the cloth is worn out, you go in search of a newer one. Even before that, you buy a new cloth and keep it with you. This is occasion number one or incident number one. The second incident is you keep multiple clothes with the different designs, colors, everything. And for different occasions, you wear that particular cloth that is suitable. Which means, in your perception, the cloth is not worn out, but right now this cloth doesn't suit the occasion. So I shed this cloth and take a newer cloth that suits the occasion. You know why I'm saying these two things? I want you to remember these 2 points what I said. Since it is a video, I'm not going to repeat. If you want, you can rewind and listen to it. Death happens like a worn out cloth. When the person attains the old age and he dies because of the age, there is a worn out incident. But death also happens all of a sudden. When the child is 5 years, or when someone is 5 years old, or 20 years, 15 years, 30 years, 40 years, all of a sudden someone dies. He never attained that old age. He never went through these 6 modifications. It is not that old age that was the cause of the death. He is in the prime of his age. He died. Now connect this with the second example I gave you. You have different set of clothes for different occasions. So when a particular cloth doesn't suit that occasion, you shed that cloth and you take another cloth which suits for the occasion. Similarly, our life also, when the body's role for this occasion is enough, it sheds and it takes a new body. It takes a new body. So when the Atma, when your Prarabdha Karma decides your work in this universe is over, just like that, the cloth is not worn out, but it is folded and kept. Suddenly you vanish. You die. Why? See, it's in prime age. It is not a worn out cloth. No, it's a prime age, of course. But right now, this body is not suitable for the occasion. It has to get into. So what happens? Atma sheds the body. Now this body is not suitable for the next occasion, because the next occasion is already there. So I have to shed this body. So there you find sometimes, surprisingly, death happens at different ages. Not only by attaining old age, that process of decaying. No. Now, connecting with the different clothes that you have as you wear for the occasions, with the different designs and different colors and different shapes, your rebirth is also going to be accordingly. So what does our scripture says? Your rebirth is decided by your Papa Punya. What type of a birth you are going to take? What type of a body you are going to take? Atma is same. Please understand. Atma is same. It is the same Atma for the tiger, for me, for the lion, for the worm, for the bacteria, for the virus, everything. It is the same Atma. But what body, physical structure that I am going to take, it depends upon my Papa Punya. If your Punya is much, then you are going to take a Deva Sariram. You are going to go into the Deva Loka. When we talk about Deva Shariram, a graceful physical structure with this absolute grace in it. Fine. When your Papa is high, then the scripture says it will be the animal's body. Depending upon the Papa, it can be any animal accordingly. And if your Papa Punya is balanced, if your Papa and Punya is balanced, then you take the Manushya Sarira, this human body. So when you are a human being, the one thing that you can be rest assured right now is your Papa Punya is well balanced. Your Papa and Punya is well balanced. But now what Krishna tried to say is, say here in this, like one Atma keeps changing the body according to the Papa Punya. Atma doesn't, he remains the same. So now what is that die? Let us say, so we are divided into three parts. The Sthula Sariram, that is the physical body, the Sukshma Sariram, that is our intellect, so many things which we call it as our manas, and the Karana Sariram, which has got all the vasanas of our old age, the previous birth. Out of this, the physical body, the Sthula Sariram, decays or dies, and it is totally out of this universe. Now this Karana Sarira and the Sukshma Sarira is preparing itself very well for the next Janma. So the Atma along with these two takes a new body. So it is a continuity. It is a continuity. While you physically, literally change your dress, what do? You go to a clean room. You get into a room where you change your dress. You don't change your dress in front of others. Yes or no? You don't change your dress in front of all the people. You get into a separate room and change the dress and come out with a new dress. Yes? And similarly, this Sukshma Sarira, Karana Sarira, along with Atma, goes away from the sight of everyone, gets into a new body which is a new dress for it, and come again visible to you in a different form, in a different place, according to the Prarabdha Karma. So that is why Lord Krishna says, as you change the worn out clothes, Arjuna, Atma changes the body. So here when it is worn out means the meaning that we need to take, not literally worn out. When this body's purpose for this Janma is over, Atma leaves the body along with the Karana Sarira and Sukshma Sarira for the next birth. So it can happen anytime. How you are going to die? Is it a peaceful death, or you are going to have all that suffering before your death? It all depends upon your Prarabdha Karma. So that is what Lord Krishna wants to mention in verse number 22. And in verse number 23, very simple thing, I'll finish with this. Weapons cannot cut the Atma, fire can't burn the Atma, water cannot wet the Atma, and the wind cannot dry the Atma. So now he has talked about 4 elements out of 5 elements. What are these 5 elements? The earth, the fire, the wind, the space, and the water. These are the 5 elements, out of which Lord Krishna left the space, because space in no way going to get involved, because everything is happening in space, but space is not into anything in terms of action. But when we talk about earth, weapon is coming from the earth. Whether you use a tree as a weapon or you extract a metal and make a weapon out of it, it is coming from the earth. So Lord Krishna said, the weapon cannot cut the Atma, fire cannot burn the Atma, water cannot wet. When we say wet, it is not just wetting to the extent that someone suffocates and dies. So water cannot do that, and wind cannot dry the Atma. So in this verse, what Lord Krishna is saying, when all these things cannot happen to Atma, he says all these things can happen to your body, the physical part. Yes or no? A weapon can cut my body, fire can burn my body, water can drown me and suffocate and kill me, and wind can make me so dry I can die because of that also. So all these four elements can modify my body, destroy my body, but none of these elements can do anything to Atma. So again, what Lord Krishna tried to emphasize here is that Atma is Satya Nitya. Don't identify with your physical body, which is neither Satya nor Nitya. The more you start identifying yourself with the physical body and your mind, the more you are going to get into conflicts, delusions, and problems. So, in the verse number 23, he says, none of these four elements can do anything because it is not only aprameyaha, it is also nityaha, nirvikaraha. So we will see the other verses in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.